Commander SpaceOper's 4 eyes darted across the holographic display, his chitinous fingers trembling as he processed the impossible readings. The bridge of the hegemony flagship Dominion's edge fell silent, except for the rhythmic hum of quantum processors working overtime to confirm what every crew member desperately hoped was a malfunction. "Scan again," SpaceOper commanded, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into standard galactic. The sensor operator, a nervous Kethri with iridescent scales that had paled to an alarming shade of gray, complied with shaking appendages. The results materialized in the air before them. A single vessel, crude by hegemony standards, but bearing the unmistakable energy signature that had haunted their nightmares for 3 centuries. "Human. Alert all vessels in the sector," SpaceOper whispered, his voice carrying the weight of species-ending dread. "Code Crimson. The Terrans have returned." Across the bridge, panic rippled through the multi-species crew like a plague. A Vortak communications officer began hyperventilating through his gill slits, while the navigation specialist's tentacles coiled so tightly around her console that the metal began to creak. Everyone knew the stories. Everyone had seen the historical records. The last time humanity had ventured beyond their quarantine system, 17 hegemony worlds had simply vanished. Not destroyed, not conquered, erased from existence as if they had never been. The quantum signatures suggested the humans had somehow convinced reality itself to forget those planets ever existed. "Sir," the sensor operator's voice cracked, "the human vessel it's moving toward the Arcturus colony." SpaceOper felt his primary heart skip a beat. Arcturus housed over 4 billion civilians across 12 species. If the humans reached it, "Emergency transmission to High Command," he ordered. "Full retreat authorization requested. All civilian populations to be evacuated immediately." But even as the words left his mouth, SpaceOper knew they were already too late. Human ships didn't just travel through space. They folded it, stepped outside the normal flow of time, emerged from dimensions that shouldn't exist. The vessel could be at Arcturus in minutes, or it might have already been there for years, waiting. The communications array crackled to life with incoming transmissions from across the sector. The human ship had been detected by 14 different monitoring stations, each reading placing it in a different location simultaneously. Classic Terran physics manipulation. "Commander," his tactical officer reported, mandibles chattering with fear, "I'm detecting chronometer distortions, time dilation fields. The humans they're doing something to causality itself." On the main screen, the human warship appeared as a shifting blur of possibilities. Sometimes a sleek destroyer, sometimes a massive dreadnought, occasionally seeming to exist in multiple phases of construction at once. Its hull bore the faded insignia of the Terran Defense Coalition, an organization that had supposedly disbanded after the Isolation Accords. SpaceOper had studied every available file on human military doctrine during his years at the Strategic Institute. Humans didn't just fight wars, they rewrote the fundamental rules that governed conflict itself. They had weapons that killed ideas, defenses that existed in the past to protect against future attacks, and most terrifyingly, the ability to make their enemies believe they had already lost before the battle even began. "Sir, incoming transmission from the human vessel," the communications officer announced, his voice barely above a whisper. The bridge fell into absolute silence. First contact protocols demanded acknowledgement, but every instinct screamed to run. SpaceOper closed his eyes, drew upon his decades of training, and nodded. The transmission was simple, transmitted in perfect galactic standard. "We come in peace. Permission to dock for humanitarian aid mission requested." For a moment, the bridge remained frozen. Then someone began to laugh. A high, hysterical sound that quickly spread through the crew. Humanitarian aid. From humanity, the species that had once turned an entire star system into a philosophical paradox to end a war. SpaceOper realized with growing horror that they had no choice but to trust them. After all, when dealing with humans, surrender was often indistinguishable from survival. "Grant docking permission," he whispered, sealing what might be the fate of the galaxy.